spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football, where we give you the information you need to know for the day in the NFL in just 30 minutes-ish. It is Monday, October 24th, 2022. We are going to be recapping all of the NFL action from yesterday, Sunday, in Week 7. We're going to have at least a minute or two to preview the Monday Night Football game and make our predictions and previews. Joining me today from behind the scenes is my producer, Anthony Wehner, decked out in his Lions gear, nice and proudly, even though it's still not looking too good for your Lions this season. But other than that, Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. The Packers lost, so there's a silver lining.
That's what you have to hold on to. If your Lions themselves aren't winning, at least a division foe is losing. And hopefully your Bears lose tonight, and it'll be like the whole NFC North just lost. So you're all kind of in the same boat. We will be previewing that Patriots-Bears game. Probably don't need more than a minute or two to preview that game. It's not very in-depth, but alas, we have Monday Night Football preview in the title. We do have to visit it. But we will be going through each of the games, breaking them down quickly, and get done in that 30-minute window. Anthony, as the producer, has the timer in front of him for those that are watching on YouTube. So it might be smaller than normal, but rest assured we will be timing ourselves. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in, Anthony. 30 minutes of football with Legit Football starts now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up my very successful picks from the week. On pace for my best week yet. Currently sitting at 9-4 against the spread, 10-3 straight up. The only difference there is the Dolphins won by 6 instead of 6.5. We will get to that game. Proudly sporting my Dolphin shirt. Still happy that they won. But yeah, assuming that the Patriots beat the Bears tonight, which I said we'll talk about a little later, I'll have a 10-win season or 10-win week in Week 7. Did you bet the games this weekend, Anthony? Did you have any? How did you do as far as win-loss?
I did, and I did awful.
Okay. All right, fair enough. We don't need any more color. We'll just stick with that and go right into the games.
Cool.
Cleveland Browns at Baltimore Ravens, AFC North clash. Baltimore wins 23-20. It looked at one point like the Ravens were going to once again cough up a late victory when Justice Hill fumbled the ball. Browns got it. They were not able to capitalize, blocked the field goal. Ravens hold on for the victory. Very much a ground and pound game here. Lamar Jackson only dropped back to throw 19 times, attempted 16 passes, but Gus Edwards came back, scored a couple touchdowns, had over 60 yards. He looked good. Lamar Jackson still looked good on the ground. This was an old school, just pound the ball and take advantage to beat the Browns here.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was going to call it a game of running backs, but I feel like that'd be invalid because Lamar Jackson did get a lot of rush yards there. But Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, both getting touchdowns, and then Gus Edwards, 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a game of running backs to me. And when I was watching a little bit of this game, that's what I saw. I didn't see much passing going on. Even when passing did go on, Brissett had so much pressure. He had no time to pass. I mean, they were 2-11 on third downs.
If you're tracking this for fantasy purposes, there's very few tight ends that you can count on week to week. And Mark Andrews is one of them. Well, guess what? This was not that week. He finished with 0 catches. I think he was only targeted twice. He had a carry, like a short yardage carry where he did get the first down, nice run up the middle tight end Mark Andrews. But this was that kind of game. The Ravens came in wanting to control the clock, wanting to establish the run and really take advantage of a Cleveland defense that has been pretty weak against the run. It worked. They got the victory. Didn't put up a lot of yardage, but at the end of the day, it's a win. It's a victory in the division. That's all that matters. I had a confidence of 11 on this. This is one of the 9 that I nailed. In the same division, Cincinnati Bengals, one of the most impressive, if not the most impressive victory on Sunday. Absolutely moving the ball at will against the Atlanta Falcons, 35-17. The spread was 5.5. This was my confidence level of 10. Nailed that one as well. Jamar Chase, once again, over 100 yards and a touchdown. But Joe Burrow was really the story here. He had nearly 500 passing yards, was absolutely dominant from start to finish. He had over 300 at the end of the first half. There was some talk on Twitter about, is he going to break the single game passing record? They ended up slowing down a little bit, went from shotgun throughout most of the game. They didn't even really try to establish the run in this one. This was Cincinnati coming out and just saying, hey, we've got all these weapons. We're going to use them.
During this game, while this game was on, I made a point to my girlfriend. I said, you know what I noticed? Nobody beats records anymore. Because you get this crazy amount of yards and you get these crazy amount of touchdowns, but then you stop passing the ball and you play conservative because you know you have the lead. So nobody goes for that anymore. And I noticed that Joe Burrow could have broken a record this weekend. It could have happened. He had Jamar Chase, he had Tyler Boyd, who both had at least one touchdown and over 150 yards each. I think this could have been a record-breaking game, but it wasn't. And I miss that in football because now it's like you play conservative if you have a 3-possession lead. And I think that it could have. I mean, there were 537 total net yards. 89% of those yards were in the air. And he could have kept throwing it, but he didn't. And they didn't. Which I get it. You have a lead. Why risk losing the ball? But it would have been this game.
Well, at the end of the day, they got the win. I think that's what they're like to see. I did like how they came out slinging it, though. They've really tried to establish the ground game behind Joe Mixon. It hasn't happened. Mixon having probably his least efficient year as a pro. That offensive line not opening up a lot of holes for him. He's averaging like barely over 3 yards a carry. So they just said, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna sling it. The Falcons were without Casey Hayward, and early in this game lost their top cornerback AJ Terrell, which did not help things. And the Bengals were just able to move the ball at will through the air. Falcons, even when they were losing, still stuck to the run game. Mariota only with, I think, 14 or 15 pass attempts in this game. This is the Arthur Smith. This is how they want this Falcons team to be. It has served them well until this game. I predicted Cincinnati would run away with it, and they did. We have to talk about your Detroit Lions.
Of course.
Dallas Cowboys, the return of Dak Prescott, ended up beating Detroit 24-6. Lions defense was not the issue here. They actually played fairly well. I'll turn this over to you, Anthony. What did you see in your Lions?
Let's just say I liked the bye week better.
Yeah, you can't lose in the bye week.
Yeah, we did see a Lions defense that finally slowed their opponent down. But our offense could not stop beating ourselves. And we lost 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and punted 3 times. When you give the ball back so many times, the other team is going to score. In this case, it was 24 points. And there was that pass to Brock Wright that ended up like a yard from the goal line. Then Jamal Williams, who needed 1 yard to get into the end zone, fumbled the ball. And that was already a shot in the foot. That was the first time he fumbled it in his entire career. And that score
fumbled and lost. Yeah.
Lost fumble, yeah. And that score would have changed the game. The momentum would have changed, and the Lions could have won. But when Goff only had Raymond, Reynolds, and Kennedy, with Chark, St. Brown, and Swift being out, and I just don't think there's an offense without the starters because Goff can't operate without his top guys. And when the defense finally showed up to play, and they didn't have an offense, and we knew Aaron Glenn's defense was eventually going to show up. It was just a matter of time. But when Campbell is calling draw plays, because every time Goff throws the ball, it's picked off, something needs to change. I don't know what that thing is, but Dallas won the turnover battle and capitalized on the mistakes that Detroit made. Dallas didn't even play well. I was watching this game and I'm like, they're not even playing good, but Detroit's playing so bad that they're making it easy.
Well, Dallas doesn't need to play that great on offense. Their defense continued to play great. Their defense has been what has gotten them to this point at 4-2. So that's really the trick here is having that Cowboys defense. I don't want to make you live in that pain any longer. Let's go ahead and talk about those Green Bay Packers that you mentioned that did lose 21-23 to the Washington Commanders. Taylor Heineke came in, started off looking absolutely dreadful. I think he started 2 for his first 6, threw a 67-yard pick 6, and it was looking like the Packers were up 14-3. They were going to run away with this thing. credit to Heineke in the second half, came back, led 3 different touchdown drives, connected with Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin. That was a great pass and catch for the touchdown. McLaurin also getting the game-sealing first down reception late in the fourth quarter. Commanders, I don't know if this tells us more about as much about the Commanders as it does about the Packers. The Packers now at 3-4 after week 7.
Which is beautiful. I absolutely love that. Even if they do make playoffs, you're just going to lose in the NFC Championship anyway to the 49ers. But even if the 49ers go, but the point is the favored teams are not doing very good, and Green Bay is a very good example of that. And, with Davante Adams leaving, I think that he has holes in his offense, and he can't make the plays that he could with them. They went 0 for 6 in third down conversions in that game. 5 were punts, and then 1 was a failed fourth down conversion. The game was very close at the end, but in reality, they were never winning that game with the way that offense was playing. And I think the Commanders just decided, hey, this is our chance, and we're going to take it. And they took it, and they won.
We're going to talk about this game and the next game. 2 teams, 2 of the only 3, besides the Dolphins not hitting the spread, that I got wrong as far as who was going to win this weekend. And the Packers, they don't know what their identity is. I actually mentioned that last week, and I'm saying it again, and now there's even more cause for concern. And Aaron Rodgers he made it. His touchdown pass to Aaron Jones was beautiful, but I saw him miss a lot of throws. I don't know if he's not fully checked in. You don't have a Davante Adams to bail you out when you're not all the way in. We haven't seen A.J. Dillon do anything since week 1. He's kind of disappeared from their production. Romeo Doubs, who I've been high on since the offseason, he's disappeared. He had 4 targets.
I picked Romeo Doubs up in fantasy. I took your word for it. I'm like, I think he's going to he was brought up to wide receiver 1, and I'm like, let's take Romeo Doubs, and he hasn't done anything for me.
Now Alan Lazard is walking around in an arm sling after the game in the locker room, so Dobbs will have the opportunities, but there's just something not quite right with Packers offense, and the defense is not helping. This defense that looked so good on paper, Rashawn Gary, Devondre Campbell, Jair Alexander, you've got so many stud players, and they let up 23 points to the Commanders and a backup quarterback in Taylor Heineke.
Right.
Real concerns for the Packers going forward. The Vikings got to be happy.
Yeah,
How many teams
for real
did better in their bye week than Minnesota, and just furthering that lead in the North. But the team I'm even more concerned about, as crazy it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was the other one I got wildly wrong. And you know what? Everybody got this wrong.
Yeah.
10.5 points, largest spread of the week. Traveling to Carolina, sure. Division game, sure. But this is a Panthers game. Panthers team that the week before fired their head coach, their defensive coordinator, lost their starting quarterback, and then got pounded by the Rams. Oh, and then, by the way, they traded their only productive offensive player to the 49ers last week. What other recipe do you need for the Bucs to finally right the ship? And no other play summed that up than the first drive of the game, a 65-yard bomb to Mike Evans, who had over 10 yards of separation, 10.5 yards of separation off his defender, just straight up drops it, and they never recovered. 3 points for the defending Super Bowl champions from a few years ago. Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowl titles, 3 points for the Bucs. The Panthers, PJ Walker, he came in and was efficient through a couple touchdowns. Dante Foreman had over 100 yards. Chuba Hubbard had a touchdown. They didn't seem to miss. Christian McCaffrey here. But the bigger story here is what is wrong with Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady not fine. So the last time he did not score a touchdown was December 19, 2021 against the Saints. He has scored at least 1 touchdown since that game. And I think, do we credit the Panthers or do we say Tampa Bay is going down?
Good for Carol. I mean, you still got to go and make the play. So I'll give Carolina the credit for that. But this was all Tampa Bay. 3, you mentioned, not scoring a touchdown. So here's the stat. Brady has scored a Brady-led team has scored 3 points or less 5 times in his career. Twice.
Whoa.
Only 2 times in 20 years in New England. 3 times with the Bucs. So I just think, I called this in the offseason. At some point, he loses that competitive edge, and that's what sets him apart. I just saw it. You retired, even if it's for 44 days. Then he's got the marriage issues with Giselle. He's just not plugged in, which affects the rest of this team. And when this offense isn't playing, the morale changes, and the defense doesn't play as well. This is a normally very stout run defense that just allowed Dante Foreman and Chuba Hubbard to rack up like 160 yards on the ground. I just worry about this Bucks team. I think this is not going to get better anytime soon.
Right. I mean, I completely agree with you. I think after that loss to the Rams last year, really, I think that was the end of it because they knew they needed to win that game. Tom Brady knew he needed to win that game. He came out of retirement to try to do it again, and it doesn't look like he's going to do it.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the last year of the GOAT in 2022. Let's see if we can get one, maybe two more games before halftime. New York Giants doubted in Vegas by giving Jacksonville a 2.5 point spread as a favorite. I was very confident. I only put a confidence level of 7, but on the show on Friday, I was saying we should make this I should have put this level higher. Like, this was just so disrespectful. And the Giants pull it off 23-17. Using their own brand of football. Daniel Jones had 100 yards rushing. Saquon iced the game, had, I think it was 70 yards rushing in the fourth quarter to really seal that game. Jacksonville almost scored a touchdown to tie it up, but the Giants defense stopped them at the 1. The Giants team, I don't care if it's close. You could look on worst 6-1 team, whatever. It doesn't matter. They still find ways to win. This Giants team is fun to watch.
It was very fun to watch. I think Danny Dimes is owning up to his name now. When he threw that first touchdown to Darius Slayton to put the first points on the board, I'm like, that was a good throw. Like, that was a pro throw right there. And I think Brian Dable and Mike Kafka are figuring out how to keep this offense going. And they're figuring out how to win. They haven't been 6-1 since 2008. And that was a completely different coaching staff, completely different team. And now they're 6-1 for the first time in 14 years because of Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and you got to credit the defense too. And I just, this is a team that surprised me. I was not expecting this team to go 6-1.
No, but nobody was expecting. I don't even think Giants fans were expecting this. Daniel Jones, by the way, who did not have his 5th-year option picked up, is playing for his money. And so far, I mean, he's at least giving the Giants reason to pause and say, wow, we might have to pay this guy and bring him back. Doesn't mean he's going to be the starter going forward. Doesn't mean he's the future, but they now have to consider that a real thing. All right. Since you're the producer, you're not able to hit the sound bites. I will say that's the chime. It is halftime. Today's show and today's newsletter, Legit Football Newsletter, is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. All you have to do is just pick players to get more or less than their projection. You can 10x your entry simply by getting 4 picks correct. Pick 4, get them all right, make 10 times as much as you bet. Play along. Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100 with code LEGIT. That's right. Just use code LEGIT if you're a first-time Prize Picks user, and Prize Picks will match whatever deposit you have up to $100 using code LEGIT. Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states and has a pristine 4.8 rating on the App Store from over 38,000 reviews. Anthony uses Prize Picks. I use Prize Picks. This is not just a standard ad read. We very much believe in this product. Prize Picks is our sponsor for the month of October on Monday and Thursday in the Legit Football Newsletter. Look out for the newsletter if you want our recommended Prize Picks player props of the day. We do have some for Thursday Night Football. Go ahead and join us and play Prize Picks today using code LEGIT. Anthony, it's halftime. You have Legit Football. You're on Legit Football. There's no need to plug Legit Football. What do you want to say before we get started the second half? What's your halftime speech here?
I love the NFL newsletter that Legit Football does. I was in Starbucks waiting for my coffee, reading up on some news. So it's the perfect opportunity to get caught up on everything every single weekday, and it's beautiful. Play Prize Picks. I play it. My brother plays it. It's a lot of fun. Sports betting is illegal in California, but Prize Picks isn't. So it's a little bit to do.
Maybe temporarily.
Temporarily.
It is on the ballot. Yeah, we don't have to get into the
27.
politics. But yes, if you live in California, vote yes for Prop 27. Anyway, yes. Thank you, Anthony. He's a daily reader. That's why we do this thing. Free daily newsletter. You can always unsubscribe. Go to legitfootball.com. Enter your email address. We bring the news to you. We break it down, what you need to know. We do it so that we can make it nice and succinct, and so you can drink your coffee and get about your day. All right, let's go ahead and tackle this second half. We do have some games to preview or to recap before we preview the Monday Night Football game. All right, let's talk about the only other game I picked incorrectly as far as who was going to win this game. And in fairness, this was my one confidence. I didn't lose any of my high confidence picks. I had a 9 on Tampa Bay, a 9 on Green Bay, confidence level of 3 on Tampa Bay because I didn't love that spread. My instincts were right. And the Indianapolis Colts, I just thought Tennessee beat them earlier. It's hard to beat a division foe twice. The Colts looked so good last week against Jacksonville, especially through the air. I thought they might be turning a corner. I was completely wrong. Tennessee 19-10. Matt Ryan throws a pick six, and more importantly, Matt Ryan is no longer the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I feel like they put a lot into getting Matt Ryan, and he hasn't been able to really prove himself. And they beat the Chiefs, which is a pretty big, but I mean, did they though?
I think that was the Chiefs beating themselves,
exactly.
like the Bucks and the Packers. Yeah.
I think we have to credit the Titans defense on this one because they stopped Indy's offense. Well, like what offense, right? Because now Matt Ryan loses his job. The Colts go 3-3-1, and it wasn't a blowout. It was a close game most of the time because the Titans did make their mistakes, but they set the tone and they controlled the game from the second quarter when they made it a 10-point game. So the Titans aren't doing well, the Colts aren't doing well, but the Titans are doing better.
We should give some context. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't follow Twitter and this will be in Legit Football tomorrow, but the news came out today. Matt Ryan has been benched for Sam Ehlinger, and Nick Foles will be the backup. So Matt Ryan was not just fallen to number 2. He's fallen all the way down to number 3. He does have a shoulder injury, but Frank Reich was clear in saying that Sam Ehlinger is our guy for the rest of the season. Like, this is no longer Matt Ryan's team to lead, which in all likelihood, Anthony, could mean it's also Matt Ryan's last season. I don't know if this is going to land him with another team after this. He may just want to retire. So if we've got Rodgers possibly retiring and Brady and Matt Ryan, we could really see just a kind of a true changing of the guard. But yeah, I'm excited to see Sam Ehlinger. That, silver lining there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We'll have Jimmy Ray from NFL Stats as our resident Colts fan. He'll give us his thoughts. I texted him earlier today. He's very excited about Ehlinger. He says it can't get worse. And at least we can see what we have. Ehlinger looked good in the preseason. But this Colts team, like I said, another pick six by Matt Ryan. Tennessee, at the end of the day, they didn't play great, but they did have Derrick Henry play well. And as long as when he gets 100 yards, there's something like 18-3 over the past few seasons. That is the absolute key to their offense. You can talk about Saquon in New York, but Derrick Henry is the Titans offense. As he goes, the Titans go. But hey, as long as he's getting 100 yards and they're able to grind out and make plays on the defense to hold their opponent to 10, Titans at 4-2 in sole first place in the AFC South. Here's a fun fact. The only South team, NFC or AFC, with a winning record after 7 weeks. The entire NFC South. We didn't talk about that. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-4. The Atlanta Falcons are 3-4. The Saints and the Panthers are 2-5. The Panthers are one game out of first in the NFC South. That's insane.
It is.
But in the AFC South, Titans now firmly in control of the division at 4-2. Let's stay in that AFC South. Houston Texans played this game close. It was 20-17 to start the fourth quarter, but the Las Vegas Raiders, more specifically, Josh Jacobs took over. Raiders end up winning 38-20, well past the 6.5-point spread. I had a confidence level of 6 on this. I have been really high on Josh Jacobs. I traded for him in multiple fantasy leagues. That has really started to pay off for me. I'm, for their sake, hoping it's turning the corner. What did you see in this game?
I saw 21 points be scored in just the fourth quarter. I saw the Texans keeping control of the game and then just crumble under Josh Jacobs. And I thought they needed one more quarter. That's all they needed to keep it and to possibly win it. But the Raiders said, wait a minute, guys, we are playing the Texans. Why are we losing? And so Josh Jacobs said, you know what? Let me find the end zone for you. And they did. 20 carries for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. Hat trick.
Get enough point. I mean, just the points that Josh Jacobs scored would have beat the Texans. So, it was a pretty crazy fourth quarter. But other than that, it was a pretty evenly matched game up until the end of it.
Here's your silver lining if you're a Texans fan. Davis Mills went over 300 yards passing. He looked pretty efficient. And Dameon Pierce looks absolutely awesome, especially with Breece Hall getting injured. We'll talk about that when we get to the Jets game. Kenneth Walker is resurging, but Dameon Pierce is going to be right there as far as successful rookie running backs. I love his running style. So physical. Looks like he breaks 1 or 2 tackles every time he gets the ball, even if it's only for 2 or 3 yards. Just such a tough runner. He's going to be your running back for many years to come if you're a Houston fan. Let's go to that Jets game. Once again, the Jets coming into this game 4-2. The Broncos coming into this game 2-4. And the Broncos were favored by 3.5. This game was my second most confident at 13 that the Jets were going to cover this. And I picked them to win. And they end up winning 16-9. Brett Rippon played quarterback for the Broncos. It was not the rush show. To be determined. They're going to London against Jacksonville this weekend. If Rippon starts again, do they even? He actually looked a little bit better than Russ, if I'm being honest. So who knows where Nathaniel Hackett's going to go? But the Jets not only overcoming that 3.5 point spread, but winning outright. The downside of it, they did lose Breece Hall with a torn ACL for the season. And Elijah Vera Tucker, their versatile lineman who has played guard and both tackle positions at various points this season, also lost for the year with a triceps injury.
Yeah, I picked up Breece Hall in my fantasy drafts at the beginning of the season because I had a good feeling, and that feeling was right. In the last 3 weeks, I was almost saying Offensive Rookie of the Year, but now that's all over. So, what's the narrative for the New York Jets? Because Zach Wilson only threw for 121 yards and didn't even score a touchdown. So, what's the narrative here?
They're a defensive team. They're not going to continue to win without their running game. Michael Carter, for what it's worth, did come in and he busted out a 37-yard run. He's no slouch. He's a second-round draft pick running back, was their starting running back last year. They're lucky that they have that kind of depth, but he does not have the physical talent that Breece Hall has. We saw that. The reason they won this game is because of that long Breece Hall touchdown where he just absolutely blew through the defense and then left everyone in his dust. He's physical. He's fast. He's great out of the backfield. They really utilize him in the passing game. So for long term, if we're talking fantasy, he's on your dynasty league, be very happy, even though you won't reap the benefits until next year or after. If you're a Jets fan, same thing. Long term, short term, unless Zach Wilson gets better, these close games that these Jets have found ways to win, it's going to be a lot tougher when you don't have Breece Hall. So right now, hey, they're 5-2. They're second in the AFC East, looking up only at the 5-1 Buffalo Bills. They're firmly in the playoff race if the season were to end now. So there's reasons to be excited. That defense, Sauce Gardner is an absolute stud. They actually threw his way. Brett Rippon threw at his way, I think 8 or 9 times, and he allowed 8 yards receiving. So you test him, it doesn't matter. There's just a lot to like about this defense. They're going to need to play ball control offense and hope that that's enough to get it done. Let's go to Levi Stadium, Santa Clara. San Francisco 49ers hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. The debut of Christian McCaffrey played a fair amount, did get some carries and looked decent and limited play. But at the end of the day, even that good San Francisco defense was not enough to even slow down the Chiefs 44-23. I picked the Chiefs to win and cover. I thought it would be more like a 5 or 6 point victory. Didn't know it would be a 21 point victory. But still, man, Mahomes, this Chiefs team looks like clearly one of the best in the NFL.
I mean, 423 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mahomes spread out to Juju, Kelsey, and Valdez-Scantling to beat a 49ers team that we thought was good. And they are good. And they just acquired an offensive weapon that, in theory, is perfect for Shanahan's offense. But it didn't work. It didn't seem like it worked. For the first half, it did.
Well, in fairness, he flew in on Friday, didn't actually practice, or might have gotten a light practice in, and then had to be ready to learn the playbook. This is not the full Christian McCaffrey experience. You can't expect next week with a full week of practice, and they're playing the Rams for the second time this season next week. That's where we'll really see if this Christian McCaffrey gamble looks like it'll pay off or not.
All right, that's fair. So what are you saying? You think it's Christian McCaffrey over next week? He's gonna hit his over?
I love him. I don't know what the prop is yet, but yes,
Right.
my instinct, if it's reasonable, would be to hit the over. I just like him in this offense. He's these yak players, these players that are able to break tackles, get out in space, and make moves are tailor-made for this Shanahan offense. So I'm really excited when he gets a full week of practice and really understands the playbook and is able to get more playing time, just how well he plays. But on the other side of that, the defense was supposed to be the strength here.
Right.
And man, they just couldn't slow down Mahomes. Like you said, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, spreading the ball around. Marquez Valdez-Scantling got over 100 yards. Juju had a great run and catch that resulted in a touchdown. Hopefully for the Niners' sake, I mean, they're actually not in first anymore. That's this next team. So let's go ahead and jump to the Seattle Seahawks, the first place in the NFC West at 4-3. Seattle Seahawks. I picked them in the way early power rankings as my number 32. I'm
Wow.
owning that. I'm owning that, right?
Okay.
No one knew that this rookie class was going to hit as well. Probably the only rookie class better than the Jets is this Seahawks class. They have just found so many, just not only producers, but solid starters from this rookie class. This was my upset of the week, and I'm proud to say that it was my number 12 confidence that Seattle would cover the 6.5-point spread against the Chargers. I also picked them to win. Didn't know they were going to win this decisively. Had control of the game basically from start to finish, 37-23. But one of those touchdowns was a late kind of garbage touchdown by Austin Eckler. The Seahawks defense looked great. They harassed Herbert, 3 sacks, forced fumble, and an interception. And the Seattle Seahawks offense, Geno still looking good and efficient. Marquise Goodwin out of nowhere with DK Metcalf going down earlier in the game, but the story is Kenneth Walker III. I think he had finished with about 160 yards, had that amazing long touchdown, looking like they got an absolute stud.
Yeah, I've been talking about Kenneth Walker since the draft because he went to MSU, and the way that he played at Michigan State was like pro level. And I'm like, I can't wait to see him play against pros. And now he's proving it. Now he's proving that he can play at a pro level. So now it's like the next 10 years is going to be Kenneth Walker, top 10 running back for the next 10 years. I'm calling it right now, right here. I'm a fan of him, so I guess it's a little biased. But 168 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Chargers. He's a good running back. And then you got Marquise Goodwin with 2 touchdowns and Geno Smith passing for 210 yards. Seattle's good. And I've been in denial about it, but I think they could make a run for the NFC West.
I mean, they're the only winning record at this point in that division. A division that we thought was going to be really tough, but the Cardinals just came off a win. They have the defending Super Bowl champions, and the Niners was the team we thought was the favorite to win that division after the first few weeks of the season. But here it is, Seattle Seahawks. You can't deny it. They're a well-coached team, and they're getting so much production. Both starting tackles, rookies. 2 of their 3 starting defensive backs, rookies. Their starting running back, rookie. I mean, these are highly producing, highly effective rookies across the board. John Schneider, Pete Carroll absolutely nailed it. Excited to see what this team does going forward. And Geno just works so well in this offense. Geno Smith, what a resurgence. Gotta love it. One more game to recap before we talk about Monday Night Football. My Miami Dolphins, 16-10 over the Kenny Pickett-led Pittsburgh Steelers in Miami. It was a game that started off, Tua was back. That's the main story. And their first 3 drives, touchdown, field goal. I was like, wow, this Dolphins offense. I mean, it operates differently with Tua at the helm. He's more decisive. He's more accurate. He understands this Mike McDaniel offense better. But credit to the Steelers for really only holding them to 1 other field goal at the end of the first half. No points at all in the second half. Tua made some bad decisions that he got away with. The Steelers dropped 4 interceptions in this, so we have to say that. But outside of that, it's just this offense just runs better with Tua. On the Steelers side of the ball, offense still having trouble moving the ball. Najee Harris, I think he's got less rushing yards than Daniel Jones. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. What did you see in this game?
Yeah, I really just wanted to hear your thoughts on this one. And I did, but my take is going scoreless in the second half won't keep you over 500. Mike Tomlin's defense did show up, but if you're a team with like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you need to find a way to get them open. And they found a way to win, so you got the W. But playing against the Steelers, I think Miami should have played better because they didn't.
I agree. The Steelers have the worst pass rush as far as pass rush win rate in the NFL. So, and it showed up in this game. This is one of the least amount of pressures that Tua has ever faced. I don't know what happened between the first half and the second half because they looked so unstoppable to start the game. Maybe it was Tomlin making some adjustments on the defensive side of the ball, but they've got to find ways to score more than 16 points. This is a team that led up 38 points to the Bills not too long ago. Let's go ahead and preview the Monday Night Football game. You can throw on maybe an extra minute or so. We don't need much more than that for there we go. 114. Let's go. Perfect.
All right.
Chicago Bears traveling to the New England Patriots. The spread is 7.5. This is actually my most confident that the Patriots playing at home will not only win, but they'll cover that 7.5 points. We just saw it in Cleveland. We saw it in Detroit when Bill Belichick is able to focus in on the one thing that an offense does good, whether it was Nick Chubb in the run game last week, whether it's the run game this week, less talented backfield and Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery, because we've seen that the Chicago passing offense is not going to beat you. So Mac Jones is going to be back, but I don't care if it's Bailey Zappi. I don't see the Bears putting up more than, maybe 6 points in this. The Patriots on the other side will score 17, right there. You've got an 11-point difference. Very confident. I'm picking the Patriots. How about you?
Yeah, I'm picking the Patriots here. I have Justin Fields as under because he just doesn't know how to pass the ball anymore, but he could run, so I have his over on rushing. But that's it. I know that's the props for that, just because I know that this is an offense that Belichick's going to find easy to stop. I got the Patriots winning.
All right. There's the imaginary gong. The show is over. But yes, if you are going to do a player prop here on the Chicago side, over rushing yards, because I do think Justin Fields is going to be flustered. He's going to scramble. This offensive line is bad at pass protection. They're better at run protection. Bill Belichick's going to focus on stopping the run. You're going to see a lot of Justin Fields running around. He'll probably make a few plays. But yeah, I see the Patriots winning this game easily, which, by the way, would put the AFC East, unlike the NFC South, all the teams would have winning records if the Patriots win tonight after 7 weeks. That is it. The Monday Night Football game starts in about 10 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Anthony, thank you always for joining me. In addition to your producing duties, we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live here on YouTube in order to do our fantasy football preview for Week 8. We'll do some news and notes with our new guy, Tanner Pfeiffer. And, of course, Wednesday, we will have our power ranking show at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific with Jimmy Ray of NFL Stats. We're doing this every day. If you're here for the first time, if you're listening or watching, go ahead and subscribe. Check out our content. Subscribe to Legit Football. I'm just going to go ahead and end it. Nothing else to say. Anthony, thank you for joining me. And thank you for listening and watching, guys. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. We'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.